Now,
But I see, just like my grandfather up there and Judge Hayes' daddy, when they closed their still down in 1919, when Prohibition Day started, that's when my father then took over and started making liquor. And through the 20s and the 30s was the best liquor days they ever had. And especially through the 20s on through the middle 30s, you know.
what was a gallon of liquor worth back then?
Well, it was cheap. It was very, very cheap. You'd get about $6 or $7 a case, and that'd be 6 gallons.
6 gallons.
Right.
So yours
Oh,
was
a gallon.
$1 and something a gallon.
Yeah, right.
But of course,
But Lord, they could make it. They see a 100 pound of sugar would make about 12 or 13 gallons, and you could buy sugar for $2 and a half and $3 100.
so it was still a good business.
Oh, it was good business. It was good business, but it was hard work, though. Now,
Yeah. Well, what time did you have to go into the steel place in the morning?
oh, they'd fire up before daylight every morning. They'd fire up before daylight.
What would they use to fire up? What was their fuel?
Wood, yeah, wood.
So they'd fire up before daylight so the smoke could be gone, I
Yeah,
guess?
smoke would be gone.
So you fired up real early in the morning and worked the steel. What time did you? Was that every day's business?
Oh, just about every day, yeah.
Every day.
Yeah, just about every day.
Well, now what ingredients went into making your liquor?
Well, mostly it was sugar back then, you know.
Uh-huh.
It was sugar,
And what else?
mostly.
What else did you use?
A little corn,
And
Little
yeast.
A little sugar, a little corn, a
Yeah.
little yeast.
But this steel right here, we didn't make nothing but corn liquor. Pure corn's all we made. And that,
That was from gasohol.
yeah.
Now, when did you start that business?
I started that in about 1970.
Now, is that when Carter was in?
He was in, I don't know if he during that time or not.
So now you started making was it gasohol? You said,
Yeah,
and you was making that. Where were you making that?
over at Blowing Rock. I had a building over about like one of these metal buildings up here,
Uh-huh.
and that's where that steel was in there then.
Okay. So you put that in there to make gasohol.
Yeah,
Did you have a permit from the government
Yeah.
to make gasohol?
I had the 82nd permit that was issued in the Atlanta district. 82nd permit.
How did you get that permit? Did you just apply for it?
Yeah, just apply for it. Yeah,
Did it cost you money to get the permit?
I think it's $15 or something.
$15.
Yeah. I
So-
believe it's $15.
Yeah.
And the state then, they come back the next year and you had to give them $15 for a state permit.
So you set up this big old production then in this metal building up in Blowing
Yeah,
Rock,
yeah.
and to make gasohol. Did you already know how to make gasohol? I mean,
Yeah.
was that?
Yeah.
I mean, was
Well, that's just pure liquor's all it was. It's
Moonshine's
just
all it
pure
is.
corn liquor.
just pure corn liquor?
That's the only thing in it is just corn liquor.
So you were actually making corn liquor.
Exactly.
Well, did they have inspectors who came by and looked at it and tested the product?
No, the federal inspectors never did come by and check it at one time, but I would send,
This is Vernon Marley's house.
they'd send us a paper to
Hello.
fill out a questionnaire to send to the ATF office in Atlanta.
And so you would send in the paperwork,
Uh-huh.
but nobody ever came by in person.
Never come by to check it at all.
Well, after you started making that, how long did it take you to
what's the question
realize
again?
that maybe you could do something else with it?
I realized it before I ever started making it.
Oh, was that your plan
That was my,
originally?
that was my plan.
That was your
that
plan.
was my plan to get the permit.
Smart thinking.
Because we knew that it wasn't nothing but just pure liquor.
Yeah.
In fact, it's the same thing as
Just a
old
minute.
Granddad Distillery or any of them. The distilleries in the whole
Okay,
country, when
good.
they run liquor,
Uh-huh.
They ain't a thing in the world except pure white corn liquor, just like we run. And they put it in barrels and age it. And then they all got different flavors, you know. 'Cause
But you really weren't aging this, I don't guess.
no, we just sold it white.
Well, how much could you make a week?
I could make, and that's still there, I could make 600 gallons in a day,
A day.
in one day, if I had to mash. Now, it took about 3 days to ferment your mash.
Uh-huh. Well, now chemically, you're talking about the enzymes there.
Enzymes, yeah.
Uh-huh. And that would make the liquor. You could produce more liquor.
Oh, yeah. You could make, in fact, the big distilleries, that's the same thing they use. But one feller, this one guy,
Uh-huh.
and he is in the liquor business. He is the same age as me. He's in it all of his life.
Right.
But he'd quit making it for years, and he just had a lot of customers. And he sold it mostly in Gastonia and Charlotte, and of course he had customers, you know, maybe get a pickup load
Right.
at a time.
So you were wholesaling to him.
Yeah, I was selling it to him.
Well, what was liquor worth then? Had it gone up? It gone up a lot more than $1 a
it
gallon.
gone up. There's a whole lot. We was selling it for $12, about $12 a gallon is what we sell it to. And at that time, we could make it, counting the corn and enzymes, and the wheat fired with coal, and we had to buy that, and we could make it for about half that.
So you was making about 100% profit.
Oh yeah, we would make about 100% profit, and he would make he is getting about $2 a gallon of profit above that.
Right.
So we always making.
Everybody was making some money.
Everybody's making money.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's good.
absolutely.
Well, how long did you do that?
I done that till that was that went through all through the 70s and through the 80s, and when I finally shut that down up there, it was 85, no 87.
87.
87. In fact of the matter, you know Spec Taylor pretty good.
Oh yes, yeah,
That's,
yeah.
I went.
Yeah.
I went.
He's a bigger liar than Bill.
Yeah. Well, I went while after I moved out here. I'd been here probably 2 or 3 or 4 months or something. Of course, he helped us make over there too. And we went over down to Speck's place and
the bridge.
to the bridge. And about a week or a month before that, I went down by there. First time I'd ever seen Speck. And he wanted to know. He said, "You wouldn't have to have a drink of liquor." I said, "Well, Mr. Taylor," I said, "Yeah." I said, "I do have some here." Well, he said, "Would you give me a drink?" I said, "Sure." And I had a half-gallon fruit jar in the pickup, the Jeep. And he took that and drunk 2 big swallers of it. "Man," he said, "that's good liquor." And of course, it was the best liquor he'd ever drunk in his life, no doubt.
Yeah.
And he said, "By the way," he said, "you wouldn't sell me the rest of it, would you?" I said, "No." I said, "Mr. Taylor," I said, "I never sold a drop in my life. But I said, I'll give it to you." And he said, "Well, now you know something?" He says, "You know, you can't give me liquor." He said, "I drink a lot of liquor." Well, I said, "We wouldn't charge you a penny for it." Well, a month later, and we went by there. I said, "Let's stop and see if Spec Taylor's here at the bridge." Sure enough, him and people was there fishing and messing around. And he said, "By the way," he said, "you wouldn't happen to have more of that liquor, had you?" I said, "No." I said, "Yeah," I said, "I do have." But he said, "Would you sell me a drink?" I said, "No." But I had another half-gallon fruit jar in there, and he drank 2 or 3 swallers of it. And he said, "Well," he said, "By the way," he said, "let me pay you for that." He said, "How much did you charge for half a gallon of that?" I said, "No, I wouldn't charge you for nothing." Well, now he says, "You don't know how much liquor I can drink." He said, "You can't furnish me liquor." And we got back in the car and we left. he says he just don't realize how much liquor we could make. That would be 600 a day. But anyhow, we was still running that still out there, so I stopped down there and asked Speck if he would ride over there with me. I said, I want to show you something, Speck. So they was running that liquor, and he was running a stream that big in a
Wow.
50-gallon barrel, you know. He said he'd never seen nothing beat that in his life. Well, I said, Speck, that's where that liquor come from I gave you. Oh, that was a good time.
Is this pretty good liquor here?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
The boy down at Lincoln made that.
Yeah.
And, it's a winery down there, and
Uh-huh.
they give him the grape hulls, and
Right.
he made it out of grape hulls.
Really?
Yeah. Now this liquor right here is. Do y'all want to drink?